Blog Talk Radio.
Give me that faith, give me that fashion, 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 oh, give me that faith.
Welcome to another great episode of the House of Faith and Fashion radio show sponsored by Blast Application, and I'm your host, Tobi Rubenstein Schneier. We have a great show tonight with Errol Rappaport, who's here with me. Errol, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Errol. You know, your topic is so appropriate for what the holiday that is just finishing now, which is called Shavuot, which is a holiday that the Ten Commandments were given, and one of the Ten Commandments is honor thy father and mother. So we're going to discuss that tonight. But first we're going to talk about Blast Applications, our corporate sponsor, publicly traded company under the symbol BLAP. Errol, you know how fantastic Blast Applications is, right?
I know it's great, and it's an honor to be on your show, Tobi.
Thank you. Thank you. And Blast Applications is a marketing company, builds apps and websites, has a 5-star app called GolfFlix Pro. Do you like to play golf, Errol?
I'm not old enough.
You're not old enough to play golf. Okay. Well, if you download our app, GolfFlix Pro, from the App Store, that by the time you're able to play, you're going to play like a pro.
Okay.
So I think that you should definitely look into that. And then we have another website called Can Do Better, which is becoming a reality show. And Can Do Better is you post your picture of you and your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and the public votes to see whether you can do better or not. So it's kind of like American Idol meets Millionaire Matchmaker. So you can do that. Either one of them, that'll work for you, right, Errol?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. So, and I also, Errol, we must do a dinner, you, me, and Dino Luzzi, our fantastic, fabulous CEO, because I think that you would have a great synergy, and we welcome you to the family of Blast Applications, and we welcome you to the House of Faith and Fashion radio show, weekly on Wednesday nights from 9 to 10, but of course this week we're doing it on Thursday because we're in observance of the Jewish holiday, which brings us right into the subject of honor thy father and mother, one of the only commandments that actually tells you what your reward will be if you do so, that you will have a very, very long life. Errol has a very majestic and faithful and important task that he has taken on in his life, and he has devoted his time in his life now to his mother. Really, it's his parents and to his mother that he wants her to have a quality of life, the best quality of life until God forbid one day when God decides that he wants to take her to a better place. And in this, he has come across quite a fight. And so the question is, why is it that a mother can raise children, but a children can't take care of a mother? Errol, take it away, because nobody could say it more eloquent than you. I've watched your YouTube 3 times today, and I tried not to cry through the whole thing. So go. You're on.
I'll try. I think the question is that a mother can take care of 10 children, but one child can't take care of 10 children can't take care of one mother.
That's true.
And I've been very lucky in my life that I've had a wonderful mother and a wonderful father, and I got a lot of love. And my parents asked me to come back from California to take care of them. And their 90s, and I said, my father is the one who asked me, but then my mother's in back of him with the look that only a mother could give.
Right.
That, and I said, okay, I'll come back to New York and take care of you. And they've been living a lot longer than it was ever anticipated from their lawyers and doctors and everything else. And my mother's 96 years old and has a quality of life that is wonderful. She has full-time care. And my parents, I guess we'll get into that later. Tobi was a very successful clothing designer.
Yes, of course. We want to talk about Francesca of Damon.
Right, and she and my father worked hard, and they made the money to put aside for their old age and to take care of themselves and to live their life here in their home. And there seems to be a family discussion as to what that really means. And I'm doing what I think is right and what they would want.
Errol, tell our thousands of listeners tonight, what are you coming up against? What's the moral, ethical issue that seems to be? You would think that this is, of course you want your mother to have a great way of life and she's being taken care of. Then what's the problem?
The problem is that due to certain things I can't. I'm in a probate surrogate's court, so I can say certain things and certain things I can't. Mm-hmm. But certain things were put in different names for different reasons and tax reasons and everything else. And now that my mother needs the money for her use, it's not being
allocated for her.
Allocated for that, and there are issues in the family that when you have Alzheimer's and dementia, whether or not you're really in the here and now, and whether or not you really know where you are, and it's a terrible disease. And you go with being with my mother all the time, and I see somebody who I was so vital and so sharp and everything else, and now I see it deteriorating, going the other way, but yet. There are times of the day she'll say things to me that I just can't believe that she knows and tells me, and she's in the here and now, that sometimes I think she's not in the here and now, and then all of a sudden she is here in the here and now. Like when you were over here, Tobi, and I showed you her clothes, and I brought out her blouses and everything, she was like, wow, isn't that beautiful? I did this, and I designed this, and I did this, and she's like alive, and she's here.
Yeah.
And so it's a very difficult thing, Alzheimer's and dementia, and
well, how do you suggest to our audience to be prepared for something like this, so you don't get caught up in a situation where you're unprepared, that you have to go through court situations and lawyers and fighting parents and fighting other siblings? How do you prepare for something like this? Aside from, I think you have to have, a great disposition and an ethical heart to begin with. But how do you suggest the audience prepares for something like that? Do you have any advice on that?
Well, it's a very difficult question. How do you prepare for certain, adversities in life that you just have to really look in that mirror and say that you're doing the right thing and believe in what you're doing, I was raised to do the right thing, and I always try to do the right thing. I've gone through different adversities in my own life, and these are things that make us who we are, and we have to do what we think is right and what is best. And these people who loved us and gave birth to us and nourished us, we have to learn how to give back. I mean, it's about giving back and doing the right thing, although I don't like that word giving back, because you're just doing the right thing. You have to do what you believe is right, and that's what I am doing.
And what
what
exactly are you fighting? What is happening to your mother that you're fighting that shouldn't happen?
Well, through the court and my other siblings, they are trying to remove her from her house of 46 years.
Mm-hmm. And that is 200 Central Park South, the beautiful view of the park.
25A with the most beautiful view of New York City. They've been here for 46 years. They watch the God's television every day, and they watch through their bedroom. You can see down Broadway. And you see the New Year's Eve, you see the ball drop, and it's just beautiful, and it's light and spacious, and the memories of everything around here. And this was decorated by a woman named Iris Apfel.
Oh, of course. Who doesn't know Iris Apfel? For everyone anyone that's a fashionista, and if not, go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and go into her gallery. She is a quite famous fabric designer. Probably one of the most famous in the world.
Right, she's still going strong. She's 93. She's on Home Shopping Network. She's in. Her husband is 99, and they're still out in amongst life, and they have a passion for life. And my parents always had a passion for life, and you have a passion for life, Tobi, or you wouldn't keep doing the things you're doing.
Exactly.
And,
so, how did you tell us about the fashion, the rich fashion background that you grew up in, which is, aside from, your mother is also a fashion icon, which makes the story to be on the House of Faith and Fashion even more, for the lack of a better word, juicy and appropriate. So, I know who your mom is. Tell the audience who your mom is.
Okay, well, my mom was she's her name, and her designing name was Francesca Fedayman. She made the most beautiful Italian knitwear, and she made silks in Hong Kong, and they're absolutely beautiful. And she had a passion for fashion. She had a passion for coloring, for making the best clothes that she could make. And she just loved what she was doing. Each line that she did in each blouse, she would do in 6 colors, and it was like giving birth to babies all the time, I call it. And she just loved it, and she just loved designing, and she loved making beautiful clothing. And my father also. My father started off, it was his only way out of Harlem and coming over here, his family, and he started making ties, and then he started, he had 45 salesmen then selling ties across the United States. He went public with his company, and he just loved the design, and he loved what he was doing, and he had a passion for life and creating what he did.
So they were a husband and wife team of fashion icons, because everybody knew about Francesca Damon, especially those silk blouses. Everybody knew about them, and the knitwear. I mean, it was, you were the darlings of Vogue. Your mother had Avedon, the incredible iconic fashion photographer, shoot her ads for Vogue. I mean, that's just like, it's unbelievable what you have in your background, in your past.
Well, thank you. They're also, the first ad my mother ever did was with Susie Parker.
Susie Parker, who was the first, which was the first supermodel.
Superstar in the modeling industry.
That's right.
She was wearing that blue knit dress with the popcorn collar. Mm-hmm. And then also at one point my father had hired Adrian, who was another designer that not many people knew in the menswear, but he was a women's wear designer who was one of the. He did 250 movies for MGM. He also did the costume design for. He did the ruby red slippers.
For the Wizard of Oz.
For the Wizard of Oz, and my father hired him as a menswear designer, and then my father decided that he would build up the name Damon rather than other designers, so he created his own design name.
No, he created his own brand way before everyone else created their own brand. So he was a brilliant man, your father.
He was a warm-hearted, brilliant, wonderful man who taught great values.
And so why do you think he chose you to say, you know what, Errol, I want you to come back here and take care of us in our old age, and then take care of your mother?
Well, the different reasons. I think that he knew I would. I guess I like to think, he thought I could do the best job for him. I was also a trained medic from the service.
Right.
I took care of people coming back from Vietnam. I have an acting background with Lee Strasberg. I was Lee Strasberg's assistant for a year and a half, and I used to take Lee out all the time, who was an older man at the time. And I just have this, I guess I have this compassion for people, and he saw that in me, and he wanted me to take care of him and make his life fun at the rest of his life.
Right. Right. And what are you facing right now at this very moment with your mother? What is your cause that you're trying to bring to everyone's attention?
I'm trying to bring to everybody's attention that it's you have to do what you think is right. I try to have people come over here and sing with her. I try to have people come over here and stimulate her. I try to give her the best I can every day while she's here that she did for me.
Mhm. And aside from keep repeating that this is the right thing to do, I know that you are involved. I don't remember. Was it Morgan Stanley that you give lectures to on how children should take care of their parents?
No. What I'm doing is I'm going to be working out a program with them, with Morgan Stanley, on the responsibility of wealth.
Oh, responsibility, and this is part of the responsibility of wealth.
Is taking care of your parents and also charities. I'm involved with the National Meningitis Association.
Right.
And I'm involved with other charities, and I write for different magazines, and I try to give visibility to the charities, because each charity and nonprofit has a problem raising money, and it's difficult in today's times. Everybody's fighting for that, and they need visibility, they need support. And there's so many causes. Your heart breaks all the time. Every time you're dealing with somebody who has a child who has autism and they can't speak, and somebody who the girl Amy Purdy, who had meningitis, and she lost her liver. She went on to be the finalist in Dancing with the Stars.
Wow.
Gary Springer's son, who got all of a sudden he just got meningoxemia out of nowhere. In camp, and then he lost his arms and legs, and he went on to win a gold medal for the United States in wheelchair rugby, and it's a vaccine-preventable disease.
Wow.
So not enough people know that it's vaccine preventable.
So that is your number one charity that you're devoted to?
It's my number one charity, and I was lucky enough to win. I just got an inspirational award about a month ago at the New York Athletic Club with Dr. Richard Besser, who's the ABC Eyewitness News medical reporter. And Carol is one of the moms that lost her child to meningitis. And it was a very emotional night, and I want to keep supporting them until everybody knows that there's a vaccine and gets the kids vaccinated.
And what other charity do you support that you support so passionately?
Oh, I support the veterans, and I support the muscular dystrophy and autism, and I try to support everyone. Right now, I'm oddly enough, I'm supporting the Save the Horses and the Clip Clop here in New York
Yeah, of
City.
course. We had Esther on 2 weeks ago with the chairman of Save the Clip Clop Society of the horses and the carriages, and we're going to talk about that event that's going on Saturday night to support them. But aside from
Tobi, I just want to say, I the other day I was watching a blind person standing next to one of the horses, and he put down his cane, and there he was just touching and feeling the horse's head and the horse's face and connecting with the horse.
Wow.
And it just brought tears to my eyes to watch how that connection and that beauty of the two of them working together was something people don't people don't get a chance to see.
Sure. They don't understand it also.
And the connection between the animals and human beings and how it makes them feel better.
It's a fantastic cause, and I absolutely support it and agree with the fact that there's a connection between the human and the horse, and also they to me, the horses are ambassadors of New York City, and it's just a crime that they're being used for really the underbelly reason of real estate. And it has nothing to do with the treatment of the animals at all. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it at the end of the program because we're going to talk about the event. But you have such an interesting background, Errol. I'm not going to let you just slide with like you're Lee Strasberg's assistant for a year and a half and that's it. I mean, you must elaborate on this Hollywood background that you have. Tell us about it.
Well, let's see. I was lucky. First of all, I was named after Esther, and they needed an E, so my name is Errol. And so I always say that my mother and father both had a crush on Errol Flynn.
Uh-huh.
So, and then I was lucky enough to meet Lee Strasberg through Marty Bregman at Elaine's restaurant in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I then started studying acting with Lee Strasberg, and it changed my life. And I met so many wonderful people in my family. My first cousin, Michelle Rappaport, produced White Men Can't Jump. She produced Blue Chips, and she produced many other movies. And my uncle was an actor. Alan Austin was signed up to 20th Century Fox. Mm-hmm. And I've been lucky enough. Adrian was married to Janet Gaynor, who won the first Academy Award for Women in 1939 or 1929. For 3 silent movies. Wow. And I just had a passion for show business and acting. When I was a little kid, they would take me to a Radio City Musical on my birthday and have a lobster dinner. And I just have always had a passion for the movie industry and the show business, and have many friends in it. Elaine Page is a great friend of mine that I met. That is doing, she starred in Evita, she starred in Cats.
Right, of course.
And I just like the passion that a lot of show business people have.
Yeah, well, listen, they're a very, very unique and interesting group. And we're going to stop now for a commercial.
Okay.
I can do better, yes, I know. I can do better, 'cause I'm strong. Can do better, 'cause I'm better than you know. I can do better. I will never lose my dreams or try again to see the sunshine in my life. I can do better. I'll see more than what my eyes can see. I will go faithful and I believe. Give me that
Can Do Better. I told you about that reality show that's coming.
Yes.
That actually we casted it already. It's going to blow up the screen because it's American Idol meets Millionaire Matchmaker. And Can Do Better is a great website where you could put your picture up and the relationship that you have right now with the other person, and people vote to see whether you can do better or not. I wish this was around when I was can do better with marriages. Each husband, maybe somebody would have voted, would have saved me a lot of time and energy. Don't you think? What do you think, Errol?
I think it's great. It sounds great.
It sounds great. I think that you should be on. I think you should be on and see if these people have philanthropic souls, because I think that you zero in on these things with people, because usually you could, somebody like you is so special to have devoted your life to to taking care of your mother and all these wonderful charities that you're involved in, and you've had such a rich life, and you're not. It's not even that you feel that you're giving it back. You actually feel that this is the right thing to do. There are very few this around. So how would you, if you had to train the next generation to think like you, where would you start?
Oh, of course. I'd probably send them to MS camp, to MD camp. I'd send them to see, to work at some of these organizations and see what it's like to have, in one way, some people say special need people and mothers and fathers are blessed to be able to give a lot more love than other parents do,
mm-hmm.
because they don't, they are focused on giving that love.
Right.
Whereas other people don't do it because they're worried about their careers and everything else, and the kids are this or that. So it's always an interesting thing when I meet parents of special need children.
Mm-hmm.
They give so much more, and their relationship with their child is so much more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think children should see the other side of life, and see how other people deal. And in my day, I did have to go into the service, and I had to take a shower with 100 guys. It wasn't the way I grew up.
Right.
But I learned to get along with other people, and
mm-hmm.
I think that's an important thing that parents have to do. They have to teach the children. A lot. I remember one of the rabbis from Hebrew Union College, Rabbi Paul Steinberg, who said he says that children, the parents of these the self-made men, the children have to find their own happiness, not what the parents' happiness was.
Mm-hmm.
And parents have to allow them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is very important.
Yes, that's very important. But when you teach, when you put together this wealth management class with or seminar with Morgan Stanley, how to manage your wealth, what aside from the fact that
not how to manage, it's the responsibility.
The responsibility, exactly. What is the what's the set of priorities that you're trying to convey to them?
Is that the children who come from these wealthy families have to find their own happiness. They have to give to organizations that they feel compassionate about and that they can relate to, and not just because the grandfather or father, whatever, their best friend may have unfortunately passed away through cancer or something, and they keep giving to that same organization every year. The children have to get involved, and they have to see what's going on with other charities. The Christopher Reeves Foundation, who are making unbelievable strides in what they're doing. What Marlo Thomas is doing, who is in my acting class, what she's doing with the St. Jude. She's doing things that are unbelievable.
So she's carrying on her father's legacy.
Well, she's carrying on now her own legacy.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing, Marlo's being Marlo. Marlo she's a strong, wonderful man, and I think Danny gave her that. And Tony and Terry, they're doing great things, but Marlo's taking the lead there. It's a passion, and that's what she's doing. It's not just because Danny. If it was, it's not just something that Danny wanted to do, but once she saw what she could do and help people,
she kept going.
She kept going, and it's hers. Children have to do what's theirs.
And what is in this class about responsibility? What portion is the responsibility to take care of your parents that took care of you? Is that part of the class?
It's most important. I mean, it's a basic. It's a basic. The basic rule of life. Your parents give birth to you, and then you give birth. You take care of them for their lives.
And why is it that is not a basic rule of life? And
I don't know.
What's the epidemic that doesn't happen anymore? Why isn't that a natural transaction?
You know what? I don't know though the answer. I don't know whether it's greed. I don't know if it's lack of values. I don't know. In this world that we have here, there's people just don't understand values anymore. Children are not they're not respectful to their elders. I mean, I was always taught to be respectful to elders, and I don't see that happening anymore.
No.
I see these kids who are just run wild, and I think, unfortunately, I think the movie industry and in these games that people play are responsible for a lot of this. And they have these games that people play and see how many people they can kill.
You're talking about video games.
Yeah.
You're talking about the video game industry. It's
the video game industry and the responsibility of the media. I was supposed to join a pistol club at a very well-known club, and I don't believe in guns. I said I would join only on one condition: if they taught about the responsibility of owning a gun and what you have to do with a lockbox and how you have to lock it up and how you have to be responsible. If you're going to have a gun, I'm not going to get into the debate whether you have the amendment or not about having a gun. But if you do have a gun, you have the responsibility to lock it up in a lockbox. You have to lock up your bullets. You don't let a child play with it in the basement.
Of course not. Errol, you use the word responsibility so easily, and it's so much a part of you. At what age did you come into the sense of responsibility?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. I guess it's been part of me my whole life, and it's just now coming out.
It's part of your DNA. It's part of your DNA.
I think it's part of the fabric of me, and it's part of the fabric of what my parents have taught me.
And what you
and I wasn't. And believe me, I wasn't the model child. I've done things that I won't talk about on the show, but I'm not a goody completely,
right.
And we all make mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to experiment certain things.
Right.
There's certain areas I just won't go to.
Of course. But, you use the word responsibility so often, and it's so and unfortunately, it's so unusual at this time and age to have that part. It's usually responsible for what? I'm only responsible for myself. I only care about me. Me, and you care about yourself, and that's just the way the world works. But you're going against the grain of what the norm is.
Well, I've always gone a different way to a certain norm. If you tell me to make a left, I'll make a right.
Well, are you being well supported in your passions and your quests, especially with what's going on with your mother? Tell us what you're doing about that. Your videos, your weekly. We're going to talk about your newspaper articles.
I'm trying to make the morality as public as possible, and and I really appreciate being on your show and giving me the chance to do this and say that, because it's very difficult to keep up the morality of what you believe in when you're going against people that are just interested in money and are willing to turn their heads and look the other way and this and that. And I believe strongly in doing what's right, and I just keep trying to get other people. I'm putting blogs out on my Facebook. I'm putting on Twitter. I posted somebody was nice today, Sandy Bouchard, who you will meet, who was a cinematographer and a documentary maker, was kind enough to come up here and meet my mother and do that film on her.
Great YouTube, yes.
And you put it on YouTube, and I thank her, and she's just wonderful. She did some other great pieces that she's working on with the horses and with the Holocaust survivors.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to meet wonderful people every day that share what I'm going through. When I put the blog on Facebook tonight, I've gotten about, I don't know, over 50 hits already from people who are telling me about situations they've gone through in the same type of situations where they took their mother in, they took their father in, they went through this, they had a fight with their brother, they had a fight with their sister. And it's sharing all this and putting it out to the public, to forum, to see what goes on and try and write in about it. I wish everybody would write into your show and give us all your comments and right or wrong. I would appreciate it.
Oh yes, this is a very, very, very timely topic because we're all going through at a certain age in life. The roles reverse. The child becomes the parent, and the parent becomes the child. It's what people do, and what the right thing to do is, and the wrong thing to do is, and what's usual and unusual. And unfortunately, the right thing to do is the unusual, which is what you're doing, which is what your fight is, not to, if I'm understanding this correctly, is not to sell these wonderful, magnificent, and very desirable apartments out from under your mother and put her in someplace else under the auspices of the fact that she doesn't know where she is anyway, so it doesn't make a difference where she lives. Is that correct?
Right. That's pretty good.
Okay. So
and sometimes you don't know the right thing, but so you search out what the right thing is. You go to the elders, you go to the rabbis, you go to the priests, you go to learned people, and you try and figure out the answer. There is no. Sometimes it's not a clear right or wrong, but you have to try and find the answers and look to the Torah, look to the scriptures, and try and see what history tells us.
Right. And of course we know that honoring thy father and mother is numero uno, which is definitely one of the most important things that you can do. And honor doesn't necessarily mean you have to love them, by the way, but you have to honor them and treat them correctly as they've treated you.
Well, you're so right, but it's very interesting. When God said, honor thy mother and father, he put women on the same level as men.
Yes,
even though you're in a higher level. However, I don't know what would have happened if, let's say, my mother passed away before my father, and my father was here, whether or not my brothers in the court would be doing the same thing.
Really? You think it's because they wouldn't have fought him because he's a man?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know that.
You don't know.
I'm just putting that out there.
Right, I understand. And what is the newspaper that you always write in all your articles about this subject and any other articles? Do you have a favorite newspaper that you're the writer for?
Well, I've been writing, and I've been doing the Global Strategic Community Relations for the Times Square Chronicle, which is owned by David Bash and written by Susanna Bowling, who started it, who's a brilliant writer. I also write for Black Tie magazine, and my story has been in the Daily Mail. It's been in the U.S. in the Post. Julia Marsh put an article in there, and I'd like to invite more media to see this story and write about it because it affects so many people, baby boomers. This is affecting all of us.
Yes, it's affecting all of us. Absolutely. And tell the story about Black Tie magazine, which is absolutely what was a beautiful magazine and now is online social magazine that covers every single hot fashion, charity, opera, entertainment, anything that has to do with any kind of top-notch philanthropy or an event. This magazine covers it. And what is your involvement in it?
Well, again, I'm the West Coast editor and the Global Strategic Community Relations Director. It was started by Jerry McKeon and Joyce Brooks, and they are the most giving, wonderful people. And it covers and gives visibility to charities and foundations, and it makes it seem like it's fun to be there. It shows the beautiful pictures. It shows people that are giving back and doing things to help others. It used to be coffee table magazine. And in the ways of the world right now, just as I read an article on USA Today, most things are going digital.
Yes.
And it's a digital magazine now. And people who have charities and foundations and events coming up, you put on there, they have a save the date, and they do write-ups, and they cover and give visibility to every good cause there is.
Yeah, and I have to have a personal shout out to Joyce Brooks, who I just think is absolutely remarkable woman, and I adore her energy, and I think she's just fabulous. She really puts her heart and soul into whatever it is that she does, and she's a great person. Errol, what do you do as your professional business? I understand that you are the it person to go to when it comes to any type of business connections. This is what they tell me. This is the word on the street.
Esther, I basically have a real estate license, and I am putting people together in referrals and in different businesses and connecting people to other people, and it's what I like to do. I'm a middle child. And
if you're middle child, you like to put two things together and be in the middle of it. I got it.
I was always in the middle. My mother gave me a present 2 years ago. She gave me a cooking spoon. She told me I'm a kachlo.
Yeah.
Right,
funny.
Which is a
you're the spoon that stirs the
soup and
that's right, stirs the soup, right.
And I stir everything up, and I enjoy people. I love meeting people. I love connecting people, making matches and things like that, and I am turning it more and more into a business. I was blessed that my parents had given myself and my brothers money as we were growing up and along the way, and which afforded me to have a very wonderful life where I've been all over this world, and I'm thankful for it, which is one of the reasons I'm back here when they asked me to come back here, because they were generous to me, and it's when they needed me at this time of their life, I said okay, and here I am.
Of course. What type adversity do you face by taking this position with your mother?
Adversity.
Mhm.
I don't really look at any of it as adversity. I feel that it's just making me a better person, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm doing when you're doing the right thing, and I know I'm doing the right thing, and I have seen so many different things. Again, studying acting with Lee Strasberg was brilliant. 3.5 years when you read play after play after play, and you look at struggles of people in every walk of life and everything else, and you see. And the writers, the great writers, you see who the winners are, the people that are able to be passionate about life and what they're doing. And I'm doing what I believe is the right thing to do. Sure, there are things that I'm not happy about they're very difficult to have any kind of relationship with anybody, because who wants to come live with somebody with their mother?
Mm-hmm.
As beautiful as this place is, it's not a life that you can have with somebody you want to be with. I mean, there's different things, but so I really don't think I have any adversity.
And do you face any people that think that you're really not doing the right thing, or you should just move, let it happen, move on with your life? I mean, do you face that?
Yeah, sure. I guess there's all kinds of people, and I ask people, and I listen to people, and I listen to them, and I feel sorry for those that tell me certain things. I've been told by certain people that I should, I mean, I could get the same amount of money as I was moved back to California and put my mother away.
Right, but of course this is
okay.
You're not that way. You're taking the road of love and responsibility. It's just not responsibility; it's love and responsibility. It takes a certain kind of person to do this.
Yeah, it takes a toll, and fighting against everybody in my family is not the way I want to.
So your family, so you're the only one in the family that is pro this. Everyone else is against it.
I'll say that we all have a difference of opinion.
You have a difference of opinion. Okay. Well, that's like, a demise over the family of doing the right thing is just terrible. Um, it's just a terrible thing. And I just got a text message from Dino Luzzi, the chairman of this company, Blast Applications, publicly traded symbol BLAP, that says that it would be an honor to meet you and to share the same love for his parents as your parents as he has for his parents, and
It'd
how
be
we can
my
help
honor.
we can help each other, that there'll be, that we can eliminate the forces of the world that seem to think that that these people are no longer valuable, that there's just a price on them as far as they're worth a piece of real estate, or they're worth. I mean, it's such a remarkable evil in a way. I mean, because it's crazy what we have diminished life into, where there's cultures that hail their elderly as to be masters of knowledge and why, and masters of life in this society that we live in. They're just disposable. I don't even understand the concept of throwing somebody out of their apartment that they own because they have some form of dementia, or some form of ailment in their brain that doesn't really keep them present all the time. That means that they should leave. It's crazy. I mean, it's actually ludicrous.
I agree
but unfortunately,
with you.
you're finding that it's more you're not a unique situation.
Unfortunately, I read the reason that when I met the Julia Marsh from the Post, I had read an article about somebody, Abe Herschel's son, who wanted to tried to throw his father down a flight of stairs for $10 million.
Yes, I remember that story.
And these stories keep coming out. When I go to the surrogate's court, I keep hearing these horror stories about these families, and it's usually the women who get the short end of the stick, as they say.
Yes.
Because the family thinks that the men are smarter than the women, and they leave the money to the women, and they think that the woman's husband can take care of them. And the woman, I keep hearing nightmares from so many women who get hurt by this system of wills and trusts. That's another thing that I think with Morgan Stanley, and Gordon Summer is a beautiful man who I work with there, who I believe they should be doing a lot. They have guidelines for trusts and things, skipping generations trusts, asset protection trusts, and knowledge that people should have about their parents who just leave. They say, I have 3 kids, and then they leave their money across the board to the 3 kids, but each child is in a different place financially, emotionally, and you just can't do it like that. You have to understand to take the time to understand the needs of each child.
Right.
And people don't do that, and I would love to take the opportunity to meet Dino, the chairman, and I appreciate being on the show, and I would love to sit down with him anytime. I'd love him to come up here and meet my mother and see what I'm talking about, and see what I'm talking about, and see the joy of my life when I'm with my mother.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, and it's a quite a remarkable situation that you've taken on, and I we have a very common close friend, Esther Mueller. Aside from being like the outspoken, fantastic real estate icon of New York City, I also teach a class on the ethics of the fathers, and we had spoken about your issue when it comes to old age, because the crown, according to the ethics of the fathers, which is a sort of like a how-to behave book in Judaism that was written close to 2,500 years ago. And it says that old age is your crown of glory. And to think that it's just the opposite now, it's so warped and so demented that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And we're living in a society where old age is no longer looked at as a sign of you lived long and you had a rich life and you have what to give and what to teach and what to tell. Now it's just something that you're living too long and we have to get rid of you, and somehow, you're standing in the way between me and my fortune, or me and my apartment, or me and my lifestyle that I have to keep up, or whatever it is. It's tragic, and I commend you for trying to turn that around in your own situation and have your mother live out the rest of her life in a way that she deserves to. Not even I can't even believe you have to fight for what she deserves.
You're preaching to the choir.
I know. Well, I'm preaching to thousands of. By the way, this is not a conversation between me and you. There are thousands of people listening to this now. It's just that this radio show tends to be whoever my guests are. They think they're just having this nice little chit chat with me. But I'm thankful that everyone feels so comfortable. But in truth, there are thousands, tens of thousands of people that are listening right now. And this is not. This is something that happens to everybody. I mean, you don't get discriminated against when this happens in your life. In one way, shape, or form, the roles do switch. It just depends on, how you handle it and how God handles it.
Well, Tobi, you have such a great warmth and personality that just speaking to you in this one-to-one here, that I hope everybody is, and I know that
one-to-one and thousands.
And the thousands are listening, and I hope that I'm sure they understand that they wouldn't be following you, that this is what you believe in, and you're passionate about the guests you have on there and their issues, and I appreciate Dino for letting me be on the show.
You're so welcome.
What I'm talking about, because I am passionate about it, and I hope it will help other people not go through this or learn from this, and a certain part about it is it's okay to go through this. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to fight. It's okay to stand up to bullies and other people, and not be in a certain way. I mean, I won't get into that subject. That people have to stand up, and if they're being abused and bullied,
you have to stand up for what's right, which is what you are. You stand up for what's right. Part of the responsibility, if responsibility was easy, everybody would do it. It's the fact that you have to go up against all the adversity and everything else that makes you a better person and makes you stronger. Absolutely.
Right.
That's part of it. It's a big part of it, is to stand up against, especially when you're going against the norm. That's very, very difficult. But we have to talk about our horses, because believe it or not, we've almost chatted away an hour. Could you believe this, Errol?
No, I'm just getting started.
We almost chat. You'll have to book another show with me. Tell us about what's happening with Clip Clop, this wonderful event that's happening, this gala fundraiser at Rosie O'Grady's this weekend. Tell us all about it.
Well, the people that are in charge of the horses, Steve Malone, and the other charity getting together. They're giving tours all weekend of the stables on 52nd Street and 12th, right? And then they're going to have an event to raise money, have a silent auction for everybody to get together. They're the most beautiful people. I started talking to a lot of the people that are the drivers, and they've all passed this down from generation to generation. If you remember, and the Teamsters Union are the ones that started this. They're all members of the Teamsters Union.
Yes.
And the Teamsters, remember before cars, there were horses.
Exactly.
And the theaters, actually, the people from Fifth Avenue used to come over to 7th Avenue, where the theaters were. In fact, my building, 200 Central Park South, used to be the Al Jolson Theater.
Right.
This is where Stanislavski came here and introduced the Moscow Art Theater to the United States, the Cherry Orchard. So all the theaters were lined up around here. So that's why 59th Street is where the subway is. So all those horses and all the drivers, that was a thoroughfare for the horse and drivers.
So
Go ahead. And this event is to raise awareness of how well the horses are treated. I went to the stable. I couldn't believe I was ready to move in. Each horse had the most beautiful stall, 10 by 8, with rubber underneath, and they had hay, and they had showers, and they had sprinkler system, and they were just beautifully done. So this is to invite the public to come see what's going on and see the real story of the horses.
Story of the horses, and you can get in contact with this event at www.clipclopnyc.com. It is a grand gala fundraiser at Rosie O'Grady's, 7th Avenue and West 52nd Street, Saturday, June 7th from 7:30 to 11:30. Tickets are $100, and it comes with all kinds of wonderful auctions and food and bar, and it's fantastic. And this fundraiser is for Blue Star Epicure, which is helped to save the horses that are the ambassadors of New York City. We love them. We think that they're wonderful. And when I read about how they're being taken care of, I should be taken care of as well as the horses. Okay? I think all of us should be taken care of. Actually, the way these horses are taken care of is the way every child should take care of their parents. Okay?
With love.
With love and like everything at their disposal, the best of everything, and then they get to retire the best way they can. I mean, can you believe these horses? Can you believe we're living in a society now where carriage horses are better off in their old age than humans are?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, really, when you think about it, you've read about how well these horses are treated. They're not treated as well as most human beings are, let alone when they retire, how well they're treated. And we just want to dispose people. There's something wrong here, don't you think?
I agree. I mean, that's why I'm behind it, and I think it's a great cause. I also donated for the silent auction 3 David Rappaport ties.
Oh, 3 vintage David Rappaport ties.
That's right.
Which are very, 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 very valuable. I mean, they are absolutely gorgeous. I think you should donate a tour of your magnificent apartment, 200 Central Park West, especially of all that Iris Appel fabric and furniture and one-of-a-kind pieces. And you have to be really, really privileged to go up there. It's absolutely a beautiful environment. And what makes it even more beautiful is that you could actually see and feel the love between a family. And that's really the most important thing. Business is business, and social is social, and charities are charities. But the nucleus and the foundation is the family, and you are preserving that. And that is the top. I mean, you are going to be honored with a very, very long life, because you've honored your parents.
Thank you,
Errol,
Tobi.
do you have any closing statements? Because we're almost out of time. Do you want to ask me any questions? I'm handing my show over to you, Errol. I'm just handing it over. I talk too much. It's yours. You got it for 2 minutes.
Wow,
What are you going to do with it? Errol, you got a show for thousands of people for 2 minutes. It's called the Errol Responsibility Rappaport Show.
Oh, I can only say to everybody out there that you have to have your dream of passion, and you have to do what you think is right, and you have to live your life as you find your own happiness, and it doesn't have to be the happiness of other people, and do what you think is right, and do the best you can do. And my grandmother Sophie used to say to me, Errol, I don't care if you're a street cleaner, but be the best on the block.
Wow. And what do you have to say for all people out there that have aging parents that they have to start taking responsibility for?
Love them, do the best you can. A lot of people, it's very difficult to do it. It's very difficult financially, emotionally. Read as much as you can. Dr. Ruth did a great book on caregiving for caregivers. It's very difficult. You have to read, get on that Google and look up these subjects, and you'll see that other people are going through this. There are support groups for what we all are going through, and taking care of your parents. It's not easy. And a lot of times you doubt what you're doing, and you have to educate yourself about the pros and cons and how to get away and how to take a day off and do things.
Stay sane yourself.
Right.
We're finished. Can you believe it, Errol?
Wow.
It's 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for being on the show, everybody. And Errol, thank you so much. You are are one of a kind. I will see you at the Save the Horses Gala on Saturday night. I hope we'll see everybody there, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tobi.
Bye.